Hello and welcome to CDO Magazine interview series. I'm David Boone, Associate Publisher with CDO Magazine, and we're partnering with the MIT CDO IQ Symposium and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Sander Brabander, CDO at Drechtsteden. Thank you, Sanders, for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Right. So, Sanders, could you kick us off with a brief career, just a brief overview of your career and give us kind of a sense of the scope of your organization?
Yeah, no problem. Well, after finishing my master in archaeology, I switched fields to information management with a traineeship. And after that, I worked as a consultant in the local government sector for over 5.5 years, mostly focusing on information policy, architecture, and digital transformation. And last year, there was an opportunity for the role of Chief Data Officer at the Drechtsteden or the Drechtcities. And I've been in this position since last September. To give some context of the organization, the Drechtcities is a collaboration of 7 municipalities around the city of Dordrecht, near Rotterdam. And domains like IT, HR, legal, also social services, and research center and others are centralized within the Drechtcities organization. These different organizations all have their own level of ambition and maturity in relation to data management and the application of data. And within this context, I'm responsible for the regional approach to data management, including strategy and governance and stimulating data initiatives and the transformation to a more data-driven region.
Excellent. How has COVID impacted your kind of key initiatives, and how has COVID kind of changed your approach to any kind of projects and future projects?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I think we're all hit, all companies, all organizations are hit by COVID, especially now it takes longer and longer. What has impacted us in multiple ways, one of which is, of course, the change from physical to virtual collaboration between people. It has a big impact, especially for change-related activities. So, for example, to increase awareness about data and the opportunities it offers, I've been planning a data roadshow, a series of sessions, at least one for each organization within the Drechtcities, where me and others give interactive presentations on the topic. And this can be done virtually, of course, and we probably will, looking at the continuation of COVID. But I believe it just doesn't have the same impact as a physical meetup. The group dynamics are different. You can't feel the group atmosphere. It's harder to keep the energy up. So in the end, it will take more effort to achieve the same result. And I think that's the same with all, or at least many change processes or that are happening.
Okay, excellent. So how has, in terms of dealing with talent pool, like, have you seen a difficult time finding more talent, or how has it been, or how you've kind of managed getting new talent?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes and no. In my opinion, well, the shortage of supply has not generally been felt yet. The last few years, the first steps towards becoming data-driven have been taken in the Drechtsteden region. However, like I said earlier, ambitions and maturity levels vary, and not every organization has data and analytics positions. But looking at, for example, the municipality of Dordrecht and the regional research center, they have a growing number of data-related projects and questions, and they start to feel the capacity shortage. So more and more capacity shortage at the moment, and because of the all-round nature of the data team at the research center, for example, they do feel difficulty finding people with a broad skill set. Because the group is still small, so it's not they're not specialized roles yet. They'll combine roles, so that makes it difficult. At some organizations in the region, they hire expertise on a temporary basis, and in other cases, people with affinity or interest in data and analytics are given the chance to work on projects or even move into the data and analytics role. I think toward the future. It will be a combined effort, I think, with HR and the different organizations to make sure that we both build up the necessary skills internally, as much as possible and hire the additional expertise when required.
How much time do you spend kind of training or educating your current staff?
At the moment, not enough, but that's also related to the way the Drechtsteden is organized. So I don't have any staff of my own, and we're still setting up and planning ways to exchange knowledge and get the knowledge level up, and look at and together with HR look for ways to let people gain knowledge.
Okay.
That is still lacking. Yeah.
So as organizations, go through this kind of digital transformation, where do you see them getting the most value from going through that process?
I believe in the interaction with others, and both customers as other partners, and in the use of data. So that combination, looking specifically at the Drechtsteden and including municipalities, we're part of a much larger ecosystem. Organizations, many of the larger challenges in society at the moment cannot be handled on your own. We need to do it together. We need to work together. It also means sharing data for the common cause. And however, one of the biggest issues at the moment, at least here, is in the exchange of data between the parties. So not all data is easily accessible for exchange, not yet. It's much is still stuck in silos. And even if all data could flow freely, and we take the GDPR in account and we take the necessary security measures, some other laws still limit what we can share with our partner organizations or even other governments. For example, in the approach against fraud and subversion. There's a new law in preparation to solve part of the problem. Digital transformation to succeed, I think we need to unlock the power of data and work together as one to solve the challenges that we face on our own as a single government or organization. You can't handle it on your own anymore.
Do you see what in terms of the municipalities that you work with? So what in terms of trends in technology? So
yeah.
What kind of what is it? What's a shining star in that in utilizing, whether it's AI, machine learning, so what do you see they're utilizing the best?
There have been some uses of machine learning where there are experiments being done right now, but it's not on a large scale. It's not in a production environment just yet. So we're more at the moment. It's mostly analysis of looking back, standard BI, dashboarding. Predictive modeling is still and advanced use of AI and machine learning is still it's more or less in the pilot stage. Just
Gotcha.
A few initiatives, but not on a large scale.
And where do you find yourself doing the most? In using data innovation or kind of cost saving projects? Where do you find yourself doing the most between the two of us?
Well, looking at the projects that are currently running, most are focused on either looking at new ways to use data to create social value, sometimes for the first time, depending on the organization, or laying a proper foundation for the future. Compared to other companies around the world, it's maybe not the most innovative approach just yet, but that's the balance right now. RPA is being used to improve several processes, but that's also a recent development. They started doing that, I believe, a year ago or something, as a way to work more efficiently and thereby save costs. Later this year, we are developing a data strategy for the next few years. Looking ahead, I see a balance coming between foundational projects, cost-saving projects, and innovation projects. We still have to do a lot of foundational work concerning governance, data quality, awareness, and a little bit on the technology side as well. Cost-saving projects as well is a good example of positive business cases. And depending on the priorities of stakeholders, there may be more or less in innovation projects. So we'll see.
So Sanders, how do you, as a CDO, how do you kind of keep yourself abreast of the information and also kind of looking at the trends as well. So how do you keep up with all the things that you have to do and kind of stay on top of the market and the technology, and how do you do that?
Multiple ways. The first one, I try to connect with as lot of colleagues as possible in the Netherlands, but I try to connect with people outside as well. Just keeping up with the literature, listening to webinars, looking at webinars, podcasts, research papers from several research groups. Just try to get a feel of what's happening and the trends, and what we're as a CDO collective are doing and learning from each other.
How does, in terms of the digital transformation, what have you might have covered this, but what have you learned, over the year through transformation?
I see some organizations try to do it as a project. Well, we have a project, we're going to transform digitally, and at the end we're transformed. I believe you can do projects to set steps towards that goal, but it's very hard to run it as a project on its own. I think it's more about enabling the organization and the workforce specifically to think it's outside the box, create new opportunities, business models, and create optimally use and build upon the digital capabilities that are available. The technology is not a limitation, not specifically the most important part, because in the end, it's if you're going to change an organization and the way it works and the way people work, and you make sure you take the proper steps to take the people with you. Concerning the digital transformation, is that not every citizen has access to a computer or the internet, etc. So for a company can say, well, it's a small percentage of possible customers. So we make a choice or not to ignore or exclude them. As a government, we can't, and they don't always have a choice. So we always need to keep that in mind and make sure that services we offer are accessible to anyone. And in this way, or in a way, this may limit how far and how fast a municipality and a government can go in the transformation. And not everyone agrees with that. I know, but that's how I see it. Okay.
Well, that's great. Listen, I mean, I know as a government entity, it's always a challenge, right? We're trying to make sure that everyone has access to the technology, data, and internet services, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always a challenge to do that.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to thank you for today. I mean, listen, thank you, Saunders, for joining me today. And please visit us at cdomagazine.tech for more additional interviews.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.